Welcome to another vampire story evening.
Stars
We will
upon
be
stars.
reading classic vampire novels. I feel like we have a bright spot right there. That could be problematic.
It's the sun.
Yes, we don't like that.
Once there was the sun, warm and bright and beautiful, shining on me brightly every day. There's some old school Thumbelina.
That's incredible that you can just do that whenever you feel like it. You always have the power to just start singing beautiful songs.
Well, some days it goes better than others. If I get up in the morning and, maybe play some music and kind of go tra-la-la-la-la throughout my day and kind of exercise my voice a little bit, then it's better than if I've not done anything all day. If I haven't spoken or anything, it comes out more like a croak.
Welcome, welcome.
Hi.
We're just getting started. If you've never joined us before, this is a vampire story night where we read classic vampire novels.
And I decided not to match him tonight. I'm wearing blue. Blue, 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 blue.
Tonight we're going to be reading Varney the Vampire, which is 50 years older than Dracula. It's a classic vampire story about a vampire trying to acquire a piece of real estate and people discriminating against him and not wanting him to own it.
Yes, sir?
I acquired a piece of your mom's real estate.
Oh.
Dude, that's not okay.
Jay, we're not playing the Cash App game. Thank you.
Let's not even say the name of that app, dude. That gets you in trouble here.
Really?
Yes, potentially.
Oh.
I love you.
I did not know that. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Because of the people that beg.
I see.
Yep. She does look amazing.
Thank you, and I apparently still don't know all the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Good grief. Thank you. I'm glad you love my star shirt.
I think it's beautiful.
Hello, Texas. You've asked where we spawned several times.
Yes.
It's a secret. Some might say that we were spawned on a dark and stormy night.
Typical food for carnivore, not vegetables.
Ribeye steaks are pretty popular.
Things that had mothers. That's what we eat. Things with mothers. Other than that, high-fat dairy, like butter. So today I had a ribeye with 2 eggs and a whole bunch of butter and salt.
Thank you. Yeah, I just had a ribeye. I couldn't add the eggs in. Thank you.
She is beautiful, isn't she?
Thank you, thank you.
What are the benefits of carnivore diet? Almost everything you could measure your quality of life from, like energy levels, clarity of mind, those things. Nope, my cholesterol comes in great. Thank you for joining our fan club. The heart me's are always appreciated. The tap tap taps and the sharing, those things are awesome. Thank you, Jelly.
No A1
Welcome
sauce.
in, Ellie.
The A1 sauce has stuff in it that we don't eat.
Ellie says, love to you guys. Was looking forward to this after the last one. Real estate license, folks in Alaska already jealous of your super old rehab homes. Nothing charming and old there. Well, it's okay. It'll have its own charm to it. It's just going to be different.
I do still occasionally have some caffeine, not all the time. I am excellent and I eat a lot of eggs.
So those of you who have never joined us, at 7 p.m. Central Time, so in 28 minutes, we will start reading from this classic book, Varney the Vampire. This is a classic vampire story.
Thank you.
50 years older than Dracula. That makes it almost as old as Shay's mom.
Oh!
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
Dust it off every now and then, why don't you?
Shane and
Hard-boiled
wife,
eggs.
I take Zumba classes every Friday. My son says dancing is not exercising, but I disagree. I would disagree as well. Dancing is definitely exercising.
Hard-boiled eggs with some salt are very delicious, and there's also some recipes out there for carnivore deviled eggs, which can be pretty tasty. I can say I made deviled eggs this week, but I didn't use my homemade whipped cream, and it just kind of changed the texture of my mixture. So I'm going to be making my homemade whipped cream next time.
It does go very well with this shirt. It's a great bracelet.
Oh, yes. He bought me this bracelet back when we first got married.
Jelly lives in Fort Smith and watches every episode. We appreciate that
So-
very much, Jelly.
I've had this leather bracelet for 22 years at least. It is very worn and used.
I'm just under 6 feet. What is the biggest red flag you would find in a home? Too low to the ground with grading issues. So if the home doesn't sit high enough off the ground and the dirt grades towards the home, you're always going to have water. We have so much rain here, and we have very, very heavy rain. So there are times when we'll get 5 inches of rain in an hour, and if the grade is wrong, that means that house will flood, and that's going to create dry rot. That's going to cause termites and all sorts of other issues.
23 years of marriage, 24 years together.
Mm-hmm.
Ransom is not doing story time with us. He's watching a movie.
Which 80s band are we from? Oh, you say the sweetest things. Thank you.
So as far as lifestyle, if you're talking about the lifestyle that we live, it's something we kind of became. It wasn't something that we decided one day, it's like, this is what we're doing. It was just what we've become over time.
Yeah, so here's a way to think about it. Think back to when you became a human. Do you remember it specifically? Or is there just little moments and glimmers? Like you maybe remember crawling on the floor, or maybe you remember seeing somebody's toes, or a weird thing that happened, or something your mother said. You just remember bits and pieces. And then at some point, all those pieces go together, and then you remember being a human from then on perfectly, but you don't remember all of those elements that made you who you are. It's very similar for us.
Thank you.
What am I drinking? Well,
We're drinking water with salt. And we got these wonderful pewter cups. They're modern pewter, so they don't have lead in them. But we got these beautiful pewter cups from a relative
yes.
that is no longer with us.
I'm at a bit of a loss now.
We try to keep everything as chill and calm as possible. There's no reason to get overexcited about anything.
Would I recommend buying a multifamily property to live in and rent? That is called house hacking, and a lot of people do that. It is something that you can indeed do. Just make sure, again, that the numbers work for you. Whenever you are looking for a deal, you have to do the math, and you have to figure out if those numbers
Excuse me.
work for you. No matter how emotional you might be, you might walk into the property and be like, oh, this is amazing. This is going to be totally awesome. And you got to do the math.
Right now we're looking at a property. I haven't published a video on it yet because we're trying to make decisions about it
So we
ourselves.
got to do the math.
And we have to do the math. We love the house. We just don't know if the numbers are there for us to buy it or
I
not.
need to say arithmetic.
Yeah, the arithmetic.
Probably.
It's okay. It's fine.
AI.
Numbers are definitely there.
So
Hairs.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
We are not in our forever home.
I don't know if we'll ever be in a forever home. I feel like movement is just going to be a part of our lives.
Do I support the military? I support people in the military. I don't necessarily support every choice their leaders make.
Yeah. The military is an organization, just like any other organization. It's got some things it does are good, some things it does are not, some things, missions they're put on. But the people themselves, I want them to, be safe. I want them to be doing the best work they can do in the circumstances they're in. But it's not always optimal. That's a difficult situation.
We have definitely seen through the lens of history that sometimes people's leaders make choices that are very hurtful to the people. And sometimes they make great choices for the people. So do remember that our leaders are people and they do make mistakes. Do I believe in soulmates? Yes, I do. I do. What state? We are in Arkansas. And some people might say that we are in a state of confusion. Thank you.
Located.
We're at about 20 rentals.
Have we heard from the Section 8 office? That's a good question.
No, we haven't yet.
We have not.
I probably need to check in with them again
You
to keep them on
probably
their
do.
job.
If they don't contact us by the end of the week, I mean, we get to the point where we have to rent a place out, and it becomes one of those things, how long can we wait?
Someone says Marilyn Manson wants his clothes back. Well, he'll have to come
Oh.
and get them. Yep, he shouldn't have left them over here. That was just awkward anyway.
How much salt do we put in the water to taste? If it starts tasting too salty, then you dilute it down. If it's like just way a whole lot. But I mean, get used to it too. Once you're used to it.
Just to be clear, tap, tap, tapping and sharing is always appreciated. So if you tap, tap, tap and increase the number to 50,000 hearts, I will do a magic trick for you. Every 50,000 likes gets you a magic trick.
Can't always read everything. Making hearts race. I'm so happy. He looks like John Travolta. He has dark hair like John Travolta and light eyes. But other than that, I think that's where it really kind of stops. I don't think he looks that much
What
like
about our
John Travolta.
Scientology? Xenu. Praise Xenu. Praise Xenu. Wait, do Scientologists praise Xenu or do they fear Xenu?
I don't know, but I'm like, for anybody
I
that
would
is-
know as a Scientologist.
from anybody that has escaped that mess,
Mhm.
I'm glad that you've gotten out. What are our zodiac signs? We don't generally care to share, but you can guess all you want.
Yeah.
Do we know
Hello.
Damon Salvatore? We were told that he also resembles him, that he was a guy in the Vampire Diaries. We haven't seen the Vampire Diaries.
Du Bois has 100K of investment money. What do I recommend? Send me a message and we can talk about what kinds of goals you have for it. And I can give you some thoughts of what I might do, but I'm not here to give financial advice. That requires a license and a permit.
Why do we drink salty water? Any kind of low carbohydrate meal plan that you may be doing, you're going to end up flushing out a lot more of your electrolytes. And so you need to replenish those electrolytes in your system. And that's one of the things that some carnivores tend to neglect, especially like magnesium. You may find yourself after a few weeks of being carnivore, because your body's been flushing out any of your stored magnesium, having Charlie horses in the middle of the night, or the eye twitchy things going on. So just, you need to replenish your electrolytes. You start seeing some of those signs. You can kind of Google when you're running low on electrolytes. Oh, heart palpitations. So making sure that you have your electrolytes. Some people, after they've been on the carnivore diet for a while, or any low carbohydrate meal plan for a while, their electrolytes kind of balance back out and their body's good with it. Others kind of have to keep replenishing their electrolytes quite a bit.
So someone says, I've seen you say you helped your tenant with credit repair. Do you help people still? Yes. So I do a credit repair building video every first of the month. So if you're wanting help on your credit, look around the first or second of the month at my videos. Then I'll have a credit fixing video that will help you. And if you follow those instructions, it will help you to get your credit score higher. Several people have improved their score over 100 points this year from January.
Do we have captives in the basement? Not today.
Sure. Yeah, we're going to go with not today.
Not today. Hair thinning is not a result of the diet. That is something that he had going on before we started down this road.
Yes.
And we have been excitedly hoping to see good results in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Do ghosts believe in us?
Got any pets? We do not have any pets, but our son has a bird.
Greta. Greta Thunberg.
Is it almost? It is getting close. We have 15 more minutes till we start our story. We started at 7. Memento mori. Do remember that you shall pass. What is the story behind Ransom's name? Ransom is named after the space trilogy by C.S. Lewis. So the very first book is Out of the Silent Planet. The hero of the story is a linguist.
His name is Ransom, and we named him after Ransom.
Perhaps one might say he's a bit cunning.
I love you.
If you got that, you're really good. If you got the joke. But anyway, the other thing would be both of our boys are named after Jesus in different ways. So Jesus is our Savior, and Jesus paid our ransom. So that's the boys' names. Do a haunted mansion Airbnb. We may do another dark themed Airbnb soon. It just depends on if the numbers work. We were looking at a property very soon. Today. We looked at a property today that we haven't shared the video with because we're still doing the arithmetic to figure out if that purchase makes sense. But I can tell you that the house would be very lovely in a dark theme.
Mm-hmm. So somebody asked, do you think TikTok has helped our business in any way? And I would say yes, absolutely. We have a lot of people that stay in our Airbnbs that are followers and fans here, so it helps us to promote those. We get opportunities to buy houses because people see our videos and reach out to us, which helps us to get deals. And we also get to meet friends and people that do work in similar fields that we can hire for jobs. So there are many different ways that TikTok has been helpful to us.
So we don't have an Addams Family theme in the works currently, but we are working on a Tim Burton tribute.
Yes, you can find me on that other platform you named.
Mm-hmm. On the YT thing, we're actually live right now. Hi!
Yeah, hi.
How are you guys?
Excuse me.
Oh,
Excuse me.
yeah, breathe, darling, breathe.
I haven't had enough blood today. I haven't had enough water today.
You like my eye makeup? Thank you. Or his. Either way.
I don't wear eye makeup.
Do we have pictures of us when we were younger? I published a video yesterday that had younger pictures. It actually has our engagement picture when we were at my mother's house the other day fixing the blower on her air conditioning unit. I showed some pictures of us that she has on her wall. Thank you, darling. What is the occasion? We are going to be reading Varney, the Vampire. Do we have 2 sons? We have 2. We absolutely have 2. And we are in Arkansas, and all of our rentals currently are in the state of Arkansas. In the Fort Smith River Valley region.
I'll explain to you how I got or kind of all about the fangs. I'm gonna, it seems like everybody's wanting to know, so I'm going to, I guess, what was we talking about? I don't remember.
What do you mean?
I lost my train of thought. Never mind, whatever. It probably wasn't that important.
What is my TikTok? I will say hello, and I will put all kinds of emojis with it. So a bunch of emojis. They're mostly the yellow smiley faces. So that is I.
There she is.
I pinned it.
Oh, she already did that.
Yeah.
So can you explain how some houses are Airbnbs and some are long-term rentals? How do you decide? Very good question. So some homes make really good rentals. Some homes make really good Airbnbs, and they kind of have separate qualities. If a home makes a really good rental for a family, it's going to be in a nice neighborhood where you could have your kids play in the yard and usually not as busy and those types of things. But those homes don't generally make the best Airbnbs. Good Airbnbs are around attractions and busy places. So we have homes that are close to downtown on busy streets. Those homes make great Airbnbs. They're easy to find, easy to get in and out of if you don't know the town, very easy to navigate, going to be close to events that are occurring. So those homes make better Airbnbs.
What's with the suit and tie? You haven't been here, have you?
I do read the comments on YT. I just don't always answer them because not all of them need to be answered.
So we're dressed up for Vampire Story Night to hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
I cannot actually see the comments over here on this one because it's such tiny writing.
And you can't increase the size of it on this particular setup, so
So I cannot see. I'm sorry.
it's just the way it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Icarus?
How long did it take us to learn how to do much more maintenance? It takes a while. You just have to mess up. That's the thing, is you got to be willing to make mistakes. So like Peyton today, I did a video, published it just a few minutes ago, where Peyton messed up on his walls, or his painters messed up. They didn't clean the walls before they started painting. And now he's got a big problem on his hands, and it's going to cost him more money, and it's going to take a lot more time than if they had scrubbed the walls with TSP before they started. And
Or some
LA Awesome.
LA Awesome cleaner.
That works great. But
Just a bucket and a sponge and wiping down the walls before they painted would have made a huge difference to the now conundrum that they have.
yes, she is gorgeous, isn't she?
Oh,
She's amazing.
you.
And as always, remember, when we get to 50,000 likes, I will perform some magic for you that's better than this. But I just want to remind everyone, so if you enjoy illusions, make sure to tap, tap, tap.
We tried to get a show on there before,
We actually did. We talked to producers and everything.
but apparently we need a literary agent.
What makes me more money, rental or Airbnb? Airbnbs make more per month than rentals do, on the ones we have, but they also have more headaches than the rentals do.
A lot more things to deal with on a daily basis. A movie. He has been cast for a movie this next year. I cannot share the title because it's just a working title at the moment, and it's going to change. It is already set in stone that the movie title is not going to be
Right.
what it is now.
It's just a working title. Thank you, Lucky. I appreciate that, and I'm glad I could inspire you, because it is hard to get started doing demo and doing work on projects. And the hardest steps are for most people, it's just getting started. People always ask me about martial arts, like, what's the hardest thing to learn? And the hardest thing to learn is to walk in the door the first time and actually get out on the mats. Like, that is really hard. After you've done it once, it's easier the next time, and then it's easier the next time. But the hardest thing by far in martial arts is the first time on the mats.
What is the biggest pain in the booty when you are renovating homes? And since you've done so many, what was the thing that you found to be the biggest,
Oh,
most
man.
terrible thing that you've had to deal with?
Leveling warped floors can be a pain. That's kind of a pain, but I don't think that's the worst thing. Give me just a second to think about that. Like, I don't like the tedium sometimes of the small details at the very end of a project, but those are the ones that really finish it out, so they're rewarding. So although I don't enjoy doing them, I enjoy the feeling of completing them. Yeah, termites aren't that big of a deal. Oh, it is about time, isn't it, dear? We're at 50,000 likes. I guess it's time we do some magic. I tell you what. Darling, asbestos? Oh, good, good. She was just coughing a little bit. I was worried about her. Do you need help? Oh. Ah. Capacity, guys. Think about the capacity. That's a high capacity container there. Destroying some awful floor tiles. Ah, yeah, I hate that.
Oh my goodness.
Every 50,000 likes will do some type of magic trick for you. So you never know what you're going to get. That was for 50,000. We're going to continue on now, and hopefully I won't make any more off-color comments, right?
He's guaranteed to make off-color comments.
Okay, well hopefully I'll make more off-color comments.
We've been together for 24 years. Thank you. Is it time? Is it time? No,
It's
not
not time yet, dear. You're just so excited. You can't wait. Varney is an incredible story about vampires set in the 1820s, but it was written in the 1840s. It's 50 years older than Dracula. Does anybody else have quality issues, or is it just user that's having video quality issues? Sometimes I need to clean my camera lens. Kind of looks like I might need to. Let me go see if I can find some stuff. Charlie? I'll be right back.
Hello. So I'm excited about our story. It's a little bit rainy, but not bad. We are located in Arkansas. Indeed. You love the couch? Me too. It's so pretty. Would we be opening to buying in southeastern Missouri? Yes. Absolutely. If the numbers work. I mean, this other one's, the things are so tiny.
Back up.
I hope we get something. Oh, thank you. Thank you. What drink is he always drinking in the bottle? It would be Topo Chico. It is a mineral water from Mexico. It is carbonated. You're in Tennessee.
Welcome in.
Hello, hello. If we find a home, let you rent it from we will definitely say when we've moved into another state.
Topo Chico, indeed.
Hello, Canada.
Hello, Canada. Just divorced,
Last year-
13-year relationship. Wow. I'm sorry, but sometimes divorces can be a good thing.
And sometimes it doesn't work out between people, and I understand that.
It's still super foggy despite cleaning it. Let me try
You
again.
made it more blurry. Ooh.
Let me clean that lens a little bit.
This one looks clear.
It does. That one hasn't been in my pocket all day. And there we go. It's good. Somebody was saying it's good. It makes it more ominous. Oh.
I know it's still summertime, so the sunshine is out, and it makes it feel a little less ominous during all these bright, sunshiny days. But we know what's coming, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
The days are starting to turn.
Living and doing real estate in Thailand. I've been thinking about
Ooh.
Thailand as a possible real estate location.
I've
if you
heard
want to
good things.
If you want to send me a message sometime, I'd love to chit chat with you about that. Moving up to Magnolia next year. Very cool.
That's where the werewolves are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I like drinking out of these metal. I don't like drinking out of the metal bottles and don't buy them
Right.
anyway. I like to buy the glass bottles.
Right.
So this is my glass bottle that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
We just got these cups today. He washed them out really good and everything, but
She
To
just
me-
doesn't like it.
it gives it a flavor that I'm not into.
You can taste the metal.
Yeah, I can. I don't like it.
She's very sensitive. Do you want me to go get you some more water?
I would prefer it in a glass cup, and you can have this one
Oh.
if you don't mind.
What do you say when you want something, dear?
Please, sir, can you fetch me some water in a glass?
She is a little princess.
I am
and
a
I
little
can
princess.
prove she's a princess mathematically. So if you've ever heard the story of the princess and the pea, there was a time when we were sleeping in this bed and she wanted to have a heating blanket put
Is
in.
that a mathematical?
Yeah, it's a mathematical
explanation?
thing. I'm going to
Okay.
explain it with variables and
Okay.
calculus and all those things you wouldn't understand because you're a woman. But
An N equals X
so
experiment.
we ran the cord for it underneath the mattress, and she absolutely could not sleep once I ran the cord under the mattress, because under the mattress she could feel that line of that cord or something was what it was.
I had a hard time sleeping that night.
Yes, and so we decided she must be a princess. That's the only logical explanation, because when the cord was ran next to the bed, it was no problem. So
I can say that today I was actually thinking about Princess Vespa when she was lost in the desert, and how she had that industrial strength hairdryer. And I was like, she must not have been very spoiled as a princess, because if she had that gigantic industrial strength hairdryer and she really was a spoiled princess, she would have just left it, because she would have just been like, I'll just get another one.
somebody says, I can't believe they said that, or that I said that. You haven't been around me very long.
That I'm a princess?
No, that you wouldn't understand the math, because I think that's what they're talking about.
Oh,
Yep, it's
he
okay.
makes that joke all the time.
They'll get over it. You'll learn to like me.
Spaceballs is a classic, and I'm looking forward to Spaceballs too, but it's like almost 2 more years until we get to see that. So, I mean, oh my gosh, that's a while. You live in Pennsylvania now, hate the city, so you want to move more to South Arkansas. Pretty cheap? Yep, it is. South Arkansas, not as many people want to live in as the northern part of Arkansas. Do I do what? I look beautiful today, thank you. Yes, I do bleed blood. There's a second Spaceballs movie coming. Will I learn to like you? Why, yes, dear, I like you already. Even though we haven't met yet. You hope we get something? Oh, it's the same comment. We should see the floor tiles that you're destroying. Ah. Why don't they want to live in northern Arkansas? Well, northern Arkansas is quite lovely, but the prices are going up here quickly. Northern Arkansas is where all the growth is. So, you heard of Walmart, I assume? So, Walmart's headquarters is in the northwestern part of Arkansas. Ah, thank you, darlings. We have been to New Orleans, and we're going to try to go to New Orleans again around Halloween time. Thank you.
Here you go, dears.
Thank you. Oh, and the Browns cup.
I thought you might enjoy that.
I do. I brought these home for us a long time ago. I've not been to Australia yet. Not yet.
It is now 7 p.m. That makes this
It's
the
time for the
official
story.
start of Varney the Vampire.
Yay, it's time for our story.
Mm-hmm.
When we last left on our story, we had like the I want to say German. He wasn't German. He was further.
Hungarian.
Hungarian gentleman came and he wanted to talk to Varney, and instead the townsfolk chased him down and unalived him. But of course, we knew that he was also a vampire, and he knew that once he was in the moonlight,
He would be
he was able to be okay. So he became okay and snuck back out of town. But then we have the boy who was going to lead him to Varney. And you know what happened to him? He got angry because he didn't get the money that he was expecting. So he went and blabbed it out where Varney is hiding. Oh dear.
How sad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we have this angry mob of people that know where Varney is hiding.
Dear, dear, dear. We are reading Varney the Vampire. This was written in the 1840s. It is a penny dreadful. So a penny dreadful.
It's a collection of stories that people would have bought in small increments and read.
Much like a comic book.
So I'm going to be reading the parts for Varney. Everything else will be read by this beautiful creature in front of you. But I'll be reading the parts for Varney himself. During the times when I'm not reading, I will be communicating with the chat through the wife's profile. So you can always follow if you would like. I'll make a comment here so everybody can see it.
And he should check every once in a while this lovely conversation we have going on this one as well. Thank you very much, darlings.
So I will pin the comment. This one is from this account. And we are going to get started. Do I have to read it first? I don't think I do this. No.
Well,
Yep.
I dare say I must have told a bit of the story that we are at, because I may have accidentally told some of the chapter I read earlier to know where we are. I get lost in the story sometimes.
It's okay. This has been a delightful one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody's going to enjoy it. So.
The little episode that had just taken place, which we have recorded between the old Admiral and Jack Pringle, when Henry Bannerworth and Charles Holland stepped aside to converse. Charles, said Henry, it has become absolutely necessary that I should put an end to this state of dependence in which we all live upon your uncle. It is too bad to think that because, though fighting the battles of his country, he has amassed some money, and we are to eat it up. My dear friend, said Charles, Does it not strike you that it would be a great deal worse than too bad if my uncle could not do what he likes with his own? Yes, but Charles, that is not the question. I think it is, though. I know not what other question you can make of it. We have talked it over, my mother, my brother, and Flora, and my brother and I have determined, if this state of things should last much longer, to find out some means of honourable exertion by which we may, at all events, maintain ourselves without being burdensome to any. Well, we will talk about that another time. Nay, but hear me. We were thinking that if we went into some branch of the public service, your uncle would have the pleasure, such as we are quite sure it would be to him, of assisting us greatly by his name and influence. Well, Henry, that's all very well, but for a little time do not throw up the old man and make him unhappy. I believe that I am his only relative in the world, and, as he has often said, he intended leaving me heir to all he possesses. You see, there is no harm done by your receiving a small portion of it beforehand. And, said Henry, by that line of argument, we are to find an excuse for robbing your uncle in the fact that we are robbing you likewise. No, indeed. You do not view the matter rightly. Well, all I can say, Charles, is that while I feel, and while we all feel, the deepest debt of gratitude towards your uncle, it is our duty to do something in the box which we will have brought with us from the hall, and which has not been opened since our father's unaliving. I have stumbled over some articles of ancient jewelry and plate which at all events will produce something. But which you must not part with. Nay, but Charles, these are things I knew not we possessed, and most ill-suited do they happen to be at our fallen fortunes. It is money we want, not the gewgaws of a former state, to which we have now no sort of pretension. Nay, I know you have all the argument, but still is there something sad and uncomfortable to one's feelings in parting with such things as those which have been in families for years. But we knew not that we had them. Remember that, Charles. Come and look at them. Those relics of a bygone age may amuse you, and, as regards myself, there are no circumstances whatever associated with them that give them any extrinsic value. So laugh at them or admire them as you please. I shall most likely be able to join with you in either feeling. Well, be it so. I will come and look at them, but you must think better of what you say concerning my uncle, for I happen to know, which you ought to likewise by this time, how seriously the old man would feel any rejection on your part of the good that he fancies he is doing you. I tell you, Henry, it is completely his hobby, and let him have earned his money with 10 times the danger he has. He could not spend it with anything like the satisfaction that he does, unless he were allowed to dispose of it in his own way. Well, be it so for a time. The fact is, his attachment to Flora is so great, which is a most fortunate circumstance for me, that I should not be at all surprised that she cuts me out of half of my estate when the old man unalives. But come, we will look at your ancient bijouterie. I had to look that word up.
What does that mean?
Like little things to look at.
Oh. So like little knickknacks?
Knickknacks, little pieces of jewelry, like tiny thin bracelets, tiny thin...
Bradley's here on our tube platform.
Oh, lovely!
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. I must tell you, sir, that the other day when I was going through my emails, I found a portion of the book that you had written, and I do fancy the idea of reading it again.
Well, that's a good indication that you should get back on it. All right, we must continue.
Indeed. Henry led Charles into an apartment of the cottage, where some of the few things had been placed that were brought from Bannerworth Hall, which were not likely to be in constant and daily use. Among these things happened to be the box which Henry had mentioned, and from which he had taken a miscellaneous assortment of things, of an antique and singular character. There were old dresses of a season, and of a taste long gone by, ancient articles of defense, some curiously wrought daggers, and a few ornaments, pretty but valueless, along with others of more sterling pretensions, which Henry pointed out to Charles.
I'm almost inclined to think,
Said the latter.
that some of these things are really of considerable value, but I do not profess to be an accurate judge, and perhaps I am more taken with the beauty of an article than the intrinsic worth. What is that which you have just taken from the box?
It seems a half mask, said Henry, made of silk, and here are the initials within it. M.B.
To what do they apply?
Marmaduke Bannerworth, my father.
I regret I asked you.
Nay, Charles, you need not. Years have now elapsed since that misguided man put a period to his own existence in the gardens of Bannerworth Hall. Of course, the shock was a great one to us all, although I must confess that none of us knew much of father's affection. But time reconciles one to these dispensations, and to a friend like yourself, I can talk upon these subjects without a pang. He laid down the mask and proceeded further in his search in the old box. Towards the bottom of it there were some books, and crushed in by the side of them was an ancient-looking pocketbook which Charles pointed out, saying,
There, Henry, who knows but you may find a fortune when you least expect it.
Those who expect nothing, said Henry, will not be disappointed. At all events, as regards to this pocketbook, you see it is empty.
Not quite. A card has fallen from it.
Charles took up the card and read upon the name of Count Barrère.
That name,
He said,
seems familiar to me. Ah, now I recollect. I have read of such a man. He flourished some 25 years ago. It was considered a roux of the first water, a finished gamester, and in a sort of brief memoir I read once of him, it said that he disappeared suddenly one day and was never heard of again.
Indeed, I'm not puzzled to think how his card came into my father's pocketbook. They met at some gaming house, and if some old pocketbook of Count Barr's was shaken, there might fall from it a card with the name of Mr. Marmaduke Bannerworth upon it.
Is there nothing further in the pocketbook? No memoranda?
I will look. Stay. Here is something upon one of the leaves. Let me see. Mem. 25,000 pounds. He who robs the robber steals little. It was not meant to unalive him, but it will be unsafe to use the money for a time. My brain seems on fire. The remotest hiding place in the house is behind the picture.
Well, what do you think of that?
Said Charles. I know not what to think. There is one thing, though, that I do know.
And what is that?
It is my father's handwriting. I have many scraps of his, and his peculiar hand is familiar to me.
It's very strange, then. What can it refer to? Charles, there is a mystery connected with our fortunes that
I got confused by you. I'm so sorry.
We got to 100,000 likes. I always do a magic
Why,
trick.
thank you.
Every 50,000 likes. I had to be distracting. I can't help it. It's just what they pay for. They tap the screen. They like it. I have to do it.
I understand.
Yes, it's what we do. So I hope you enjoy some magic.
Well, now that I was distracted, thank you. Hugs
Thank
and
you
kisses.
very much for the gifts.
I shall get back to it, though. Charles, there's a mystery connected with our fortunes that I never could unravel, and once or twice it seemed as if we were upon the point of discovering all, but something has ever interfered to prevent us, and we have been thrown back into the realms of conjecture. My father's last words were, "The money is hidden," and then he tried to add something else, but, being unalive, stopped his utterance. Now, does it not almost seem that this memorandum alluded to those circumstances?
It does indeed.
And then scarcely had my father breathed his last When a man comes and asks for him at the garden gate, and upon hearing that he is unalived, utters some imprecations and walks away.
Well, Henry, you must trust to time and circumstances to unravel these mysteries. For myself, I own that I cannot do so. I see no earthly way out of the difficulty whatever, but still, it does appear to me as if Dr. Chillingsworth knew something or had heard something with which he really ought to make you acquainted.
Oh, do not blame the worthy doctor. He may have made an error in judgment, but never one of feeling, and you may depend, if he is keeping anything from me, that he is doing so from some excellent motive. More probably because he thinks it will give me pain, and so will not let me endure any unhappiness from it, unless he is quite certain as it regards the facts. When he is so, you may depend that he will be communicative, and I shall know all that he has to relate. Oh, but Charles, it is evident to me that you too, you are keeping something.
I?
Yes, you acknowledged having had an interview, and a friendly one with Varney, and you likewise acknowledged that he had told you things which he has compelled you to keep secret.
I have promised to keep them secret, and I deeply regret my promise that I have made. There cannot be anything to my mind more essentially disagreeable than to have one's tongue tied in one's interview with friends. I hate to hear anything that I may not repeat to those whom I take into my own confidence.
I can understand that feeling, but here comes the worthy doctor.
Show him the memorandum.
I will. As Dr. Chillingsworth entered the apartments, Henry handed him the memorandum that had been found in the old pocketbook, saying as he did so, "Look at that, doctor, and give us your candid opinion upon it." Dr. Chillingsworth fitted on his spectacles and read the paper carefully. At its conclusion, he screwed up his mouth into an extremely small compass, and doubling up the paper, he put it into his own capricious waistcoat pocket, saying as he did so, "Oh, Well, doctor, we are waiting for your opinion." My opinion? Well then, my dear boy, I must say my opinion to the best of my belief is that I really don't know anything about it. Then perhaps you'll surrender us the paper. Because if you don't know anything, we may as well make a little inquiry. We can't put our heads upon young shoulders, that's quite clear. Now, my good young men, be patient and quiet, and recollect that what you know you're acquainted with, and that which is hidden from you, cannot very well come to any very correct conclusion upon. There's a right side and a wrong one, you may depend, to every question, and he who walks heedlessly in the dark is very apt to run his head against a post. Good evening, my boys, good evening." And away bustled the doctor.
"Well," said Charles, "what do you think of that, Mr. Henry?"
"I think he knows what he's about." Dear me, that boy is maybe a wee bit too trusting, don't you think?
Seems like it.
"That may be. But if anybody else does, the doctor is by no means favorable to the march of popular information, and I really think he might have given us some food for reflection instead of leaving us so utterly and entirely at fault, as he has. And you know that he's taken away your memorandum even."
"Oh, let him have it, Charles, let him have it. It is safe with him. The old man may be, and I believe is, a little whimsical and crotchety, but he means abundantly well, and he is just one of those sort of persons, and always was, who will do good in his own way or not at all. So we must take the good with the bad in those cases, and let Dr. Chillingsworth do as he pleases."
I cannot say it is nothing to me, although those words were rising to my lips, because you know, Henry, that everything which concerns you or yours is something to me, and therefore it is that I feel extremely anxious for the solution of all this mystery. Before I hear the sequel of that which Varney the vampire has so strongly made me confident of, I will at all events make an effort to produce his permission to communicate it to all those who are in any way beneficially interested in the circumstances. Should he refuse me that permission, I am almost inclined myself to beg him to withhold his confidence.
Nay, do not do so, Charles. Do not do that, I implore you. Recollect, although you cannot make us joint recipients with you in your knowledge, you can make use of it, probably to our advantage in saving us, perchance from the different consequences, so that you can make what you know in some way beneficial to us, although not in every way.
There is reason in that, and I give in at once before. Be it so, Henry. I will wait on him, and if I cannot induce him to change his determination and allow me to tell some other, as well as Flora, I must give in and take the thing on a secret, although I shall not abandon a hope, even if after he has told me all that he has to tell, that I may induce him to permit me to make a general confidence, instead of a partial one, that he has empowered me to do so.
It may be so, and at all events we must not reject a proffered good because it is not quite so complete as it might be.
You are right. I will keep my appointment with him, entertaining the most sanguine hope that our troubles and disasters, I say, because I consider myself quite associated in thought and interest and feeling with you, with your family, may soon be over.
Heaven grant it may be so, for yours and Flora's sake. But I feel the Bannerth Hall will never again be the place it was to us. I should prefer that we sought for new associations, which I have no doubt we may find, and that among us we may get up some other home that would be happier, because not associated with so many sad scenes in our history.
Be it so, and I am sure that the Admiral would gladly give way to such an arrangement. He has often intimidated that he thought Bannerworth Hall was a dull place. Consequently, although he pretends to have purchased it of you, I think he will be very glad to leave it.
Be it so, then, if it should really happen that we are upon the eve of any circumstances that will really tend to relieve us from our mystery and embarrassments, we will seek for some pleasanter abode than the hall, which you may well imagine, since it became the scene of that dreadful tragedy that left us fatherless. It has bore but a distasteful appearance to all of our eyes.
I don't wonder at that, and am only surprised that, after such a thing had happened, that any of you liked to inhabit the place.
Oh no, we did not like it, but our poverty forced us. You have no notion of the difficulties through which we have struggled, and the fact that we had a home rent-free was one of so much importance to us that it had been surrounded by 1,000 more disagreeables than it was. We must have put up with it, but now that we owe so much through the generosity of your uncle, I suppose that we can afford to talk of what we like and of what we don't like.
You can, Henry, and it shall not be my fault if you do not always afford to do so. And now, as the time is drawing on, I think that I will proceed at once to Varney, for it is better to be soon than late, and get from him the remainder of the story.
Good evening, everyone. We're reading Varney the Vampire from the 1840s, 50 years older than Dracula. For those of you asking about the messaging on the phone, I am streaming the TikTok stream here and replying to some of the comments. So if you see Jennifer McKinney replying, she's obviously too busy reading to be replying to you. That's actually me replying through her account. Because, I mean, as her husband, it's my account since everything she has is mine, clearly. That's how the world works, right? And some of you acknowledge that it's very kind of me to let my wife read. I know many of you see me just as a Gaston figure that would never want a woman reading, but, you know, remember, Gaston was willing to have Belle, and she read, and he was willing to compromise on that. So I'm a compromising man in the spirit of Gaston.
Whew, it's a little
Are
chilly.
you a little too chilly?
I am.
Would you like me to turn the air conditioning off for you?
I had it on fan, but I think you turned it back to air conditioning.
I did turn it back there. I know you can't handle the cold.
Well, it's because it's blowing right on me.
It's because it's less than 75 degrees. That's why you can't handle it. You poor, Dear sweet
I
thing.
even wore my vegan leather pants tonight,
Hmm.
and it's just cold.
She does great voices, Bradley. She does incredible voices. Dana was doing a paper about the carnivore diet, but I struggled finding plenty recent sources. However, found a couple from the last two, probably years, I would guess.
Did you check out the Harvard carnivore study?
That was 2020 that was done,
Oh,
so that would have
okay.
been 5 years ago. So if you're looking for new studies to do a paper, that could make that a little bit more difficult.
There's the one from the 1920s.
Yeah, but really the new studies are in progress. They're just not completed yet. So there's a lot of anecdotal studies, but nothing that's fully completed yet to be able to, which you probably found.
Hello, Kelly.
Yeah. So the Harvard study showed that the carnivore diet was the most easy diet for humans to actually stick to. Meaning, if somebody started carnivore, they had a very easy time continuing carnivore compared to like a vegan diet or a keto diet or a whatever diet. Carnivore, when people started, they could stick to it very, very easily. And my major purpose right now is to give her voice a break because it strains her to make all these voices for you. So she can rest. Do I have lines in the next chapter? It sounds like I'm about to have lines. Yeah, a little bit. Still a little bit.
Pages.
I read the parts for Varney, so I get to read our vampire parts. All right, good night, Bradley. Thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate you very much. Did I buy the house by the railway station that used to be a prison? No, the numbers just were not there. There was no way to make that profitable. We loved it. We were happy to look at it, but in looking at it, there was no way to make it profitable.
Can a landlord break a lease?
There are some circumstances where a landlord can break a lease, depending on the state and the way the lease is written. But usually there are like
There's
qualifications
caveats.
or caveats. Like I think in Arkansas
Generally
you have to have a
speaking.
60-day notice to break a lease, I think, as a landlord, but I'm
And
not
generally
certain.
speaking, I mean, they can take things that are agreed upon in the lease, and if you as a tenant aren't living up to your part of the lease, then they can break the lease that way. So it's good to know what's in your lease.
Yeah, there are differences in carnivore. So she will have some fruit on Sundays or once or twice a
Oh
week.
yeah, there's a whole spectrum. Like there is really probably with any eating pattern, there's a whole spectrum in that bracket. So you have the most strict version of carnivore would be lion, which is only ruminant animals, salt and water. And then you have carnivores that still do dairy. You'll have carnivores that do, the meat and the seafood. You have carnivores that would do kind of where I start going, where I start calling it dirty carnivore or ketovore. So ketovore adds in, just a little bit of carbs, so you might get some fruit in there. Dirty carnivore might even add artificial sweeteners or honey. So just kind of.
If you're not on a
Goes
lease,
along.
can the landlord kick you out anytime he wants? Not depending on your state laws. They usually will have to give you notice. Most of the time, there's going to be like a 30-day notice required on a move out or something like that. But in some states, like if you're in California or New York, the states I don't like to buy real estate in, it could take months, and the landlord would have to go through the eviction process to remove you if you don't leave voluntarily. Because you do have rights that are to stay there. Now, whether or not you should stay somewhere where the person wants you out or not, that's a moral dilemma. You don't really, it's the owner of the home's house, and if he's asking you to leave, there's probably a reason they need you to leave. Like they may have sold it or have intentions of selling it or something like that.
The builder filmed us without us knowing? Cool.
You felt so bad, your recent video, and the builder was filming you without your knowing. What? I'm confused. I don't know what most recent video you're talking about.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Considering going and staying at Spartan. We do flip houses at times. We have not finished the dragon statue.
No, it's too hot. We can't work on the concrete in this heat because it cures too fast. It's a rapid setting mix. I'm glad you enjoy her makeup. She does
Thank
it just
you.
for you. New York-based lawyer here, and eviction can take 2 to 3 months here. Thank you, Lucky. And would you agree that, like, say the lease is up, you're on no lease anymore, you would have to go through the eviction process to remove somebody in many states if they were refusing to leave, unless you had a notice that when the lease was up, you could remove them faster. But even then, I think you'd have to go through eviction, wouldn't you?
I'm gonna say, I want to say that I still, my understanding is if the tenant doesn't live up to their part of the lease, if they're doing damage
Right.
to the home or they're doing things, then the landlord has to do an eviction process. They can't just say get out, you know.
So the lawyer says it's called a holdover eviction. If the lease is up and the tenant hasn't left, then you would have to go through a holdover eviction.
Well, we do have to pay for that process. Yes, it's an eviction is not free. The landlord doesn't just go down there and be like, "Hey, get this person out of my place." We have to pay for those. So the landlord, in some cases, might offer the tenant a cash for keys type situation.
Cash for keys are a great process here, and we can do it because evictions are easy. There's an incentive for the tenants to take the cash for keys. So I could say, look, I'm going to need you to leave. You haven't paid rent. You're behind. Or I could give you $100 and I want you out by Friday, or I give you $150 to pay for your U-Haul and get out by Friday. Otherwise, I'm going to go through eviction, and it's only going to take a couple weeks. When did we start doing carnivore? We started it 2 years and 2 months ago. And it's amazing how frequently people will actually take the keys, or take the cash for the keys.
Okay, you received a message from not him, then you probably need to go ahead and report that account. If you know for sure it's not coming from this account, then it's not him.
Oh, Dana, we've been doing renting houses for about 8 years. Yeah, being a landlord, we've been about 8 years.
Have we worked with realtors on foreclosures? We usually end up with the properties after the bank is done with them. We don't usually get to go through that process beforehand. Is it possible? Some people do. Some people do come in before the foreclosure process has gone through and are able to make deals happen.
So, what is the main difference you've noticed with the diet? Incredible amounts of energy. The carnivore diet gives you so much energy through the day. Like, you don't have the afternoon lulls. You can just keep functioning in a way that I could never do as a keto or any other diet that I've ever been a part of.
Have we heard of Five? Five is still time jumping back and forth, so I haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, he really messed a lot of stuff up with that. He should have. Oh well.
Well, any amateur knows from watching fiction, any fiction, that if a person starts jumping through time and changing events, that it messes quite a few things up, and it's possible that he may not actually remember us anymore.
Yeah, possible. All right, it is time for us to continue on with our story, boys and girls.
I know, I need to rest my voice.
Rest your voice, yes. So we're going to be reading Varney the Vampire. By we, it'll be her for this chapter because I don't have any lines. I read the parts for Varney. So if you've never joined us before, remember to tap, tap, tap. When we get to 150,000, I will owe you a magic trick, which is not far away, which may interrupt slightly the story. We'll do it in some kind of smooth transition this time, so I'm not so distracting. But remember to tap, 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 and I will be communicating with the chat through this phone, through my wife's account.
Yeah, there's not much to go for. Is next.
Exactly.
There were active influences at work to prevent Sir Francis Varney from so quickly as he had arranged to do, carrying out his intention of making Charles Holland acquainted with the history of the eventful period of his life in which had associated him to Marmaduke Bannerworth. One would have scarcely thought it possible that anything now would have prevented Varney from concluding his strange narrative, but that he was prevented will appear. The boy, who had been promised payment by the Hungarian nobleman for betraying the place of Varney's concealment, we have already stated, felt bitterly disappointed at not being met, and according to promise, at the corner of the lane by that individual.
It not only deprived him of his half-a-crowns, which already in imagination he had laid out, but was great of a blow to his importance, for after his discovery of the residence of the vampire, he looked upon himself as quite a public character, and expected great applause for his cleverness. But when the Hungarian nobleman came not, all these dreams began to vanish into thin air, like the unsubstantial fabric of a vision, to leave no trace behind them. He got dreadfully aggravated, and his first thought was to go to Varney and see what he could get from him by betraying the fact that someone was actively in search for him. That seemed, however, a doubtful good, and perhaps there was some personal dread of the vampire mixed up with the rejection of this proposition. But reject it he did, and then he walked moodily into the town without any fixed resolution of what he should do. All that he thought of was a general idea that he should like to create some mischief if possible. What it was he cared not, so long as it made a disturbance. Now, he knew well that the most troublesome and fidgety man in town was Tobias Philpotts, a saddler, who was always full of everybody's business but his own, and ever ready to hear any scandal of his neighbors.
I have a good mind, said the boy, to go to old Philpotts and tell him all about it that I have.
The good mind soon strengthened itself into fixed resolution, and full of disdain and indignation at the supposed want of faith of the Hungarian nobleman, he paused opposite the saddler's door. Could he but for a moment have suspected the real reason why the appointment had not been kept with him, all his curiosity would have been doubly aroused, and he would have followed the landlord of the inn and his associates upon the track of the second vampire that had visited the town.
Well, we're here, my darling. But of this, of course, he knew nothing. You could have turned the fan on.
I was trying to get you warm enough.
Oh, thank you.
But of this he knew nothing, for that proceeding had been conducted with amazing quietness, and the fact of the Hungarian nobleman, when he found that he was followed, taking a contrary course to that which Varney was concealed, prevented the boy from knowing anything of his movements. Hence, the thing looked to him like a piece of sheer neglect and contemptuous indifference, which he felt bound to resent. He did not pause long at the door of the saddler's, but, after a few moments, he walked boldly in and said, "Master Philpotts, have I got something extraordinary to tell you, and you may give me what you like for the telling."
"Go on then,"
said the saddler.
"That's just the price I always liked to pay for everything."
"Will you keep it a secret?"
said the boy.
"Of course I will. When did you ever hear of me telling anything to a single individual?"
"Never to a single individual, but I've heard you tell things to the whole town."
"Confound your impudence! Get out of my shop directly."
"Oh, very good. I can go and I'll tell the old Mitchell, the pork butcher."
No, I say stop. Don't tell him. If anybody is to know it, let it be me, and I'll promise you that I'll keep it secret, so that if it gets known, you know that it cannot be any fault of mine.
I did distract you anyway.
The fact was, the boy was anxious it should be known, only that in case some consequence might arise, he thought he would quiet his own conscience by getting promises of secrecy from Tobias Philpotts, which he well knew that individual would not think of keeping.
What is it?
I was going to...
Huh? You wanted to demonstrate that it was glass. I distracted you so much. I should have just interrupted you and done the magic. So every 150,000 likes on TikTok, we do some magic for you. If you never joined us before, I try to reward you with tap, tap, tapping. Tap, tap, tapping. We did a new one already a while ago. We do different ones at different times. We just
I'm
have some
sad
of
that
our
you missed it.
favorites.
He then related to him the interview that he had with the Hungarian nobleman at the inn, how he promised a number of half-crowns, but a very small installment of which he had received. All this Master Philpotts cared very little for, but the information that the much-dreaded Varney the vampire was concealed so close to the town was a matter of great and abounding interest. And at that part of the story, he suddenly pricked up his ears amazingly.
Why, do you mean to say that?
He exclaimed.
Are you sure it was he?
Why, yes, I'm quite certain. I've seen him more than once. It was Sir Francis Varney, without any mistake.
Why then, you may depend he's only waiting until it's very dark, and then he will walk into somebody's house and suck his blood. Here's a horrid discovery. I thought that we had had enough of Master Varney, and that he would hardly show himself here again, and now you tell me that he is not 10 minutes' walk off?
It's a fact, said the boy. I saw him go in, and he looks thinner and more horrid than ever. I'm sure that he wants a dollop of blood from somebody.
I shouldn't wonder.
Now there's Mrs. Philpotts, you know, sir. She's rather big and seems most ready to burst always. I shouldn't wonder if the vampire came to her tonight.
Wouldn't you?
Oh, excuse me. Wouldn't you? Said Mrs. Philpotts, who had walked into the shop and overheard the whole conversation. Wouldn't you, really? I'll vampire you and teach you to make these remarks about respectable married women, you young wretch. Take that, you will. She gave the boy such a box on the ears that the place seemed to spin round with him. As soon as he recovered sufficiently to be enabled to walk, he made his way from the shop with an abundance of precipitation, much regretting that he had troubled himself to make a confidant of Master Philpotts. But, however, he could not but tell himself that if the object was to make a general disturbance through the whole place, he had certainly succeeded in doing so. He slunk home, perhaps with a feeling that he might be called upon to take part in something that might ensue, and, at all events, he compelled to become a guide to the place of Sir Francis Varney's retreat, in which case, for all he knew, the vampire might, by some more than mortal means, discover what a hand he had in the matter, and punish him accordingly.
Ooh, punishment.
The moment that he had left the saddler's, Mrs. Philpotts, after using some bitter reproaches to her husband for not at once sacrificing the boy upon the spot for the disrespectful manner in which he had spoken to her, hastily put on her bonnet and shawl, and the saddler, although it was a full hour before the time to close, to putting up the shutter on his shop.
Why, my dear, he said to Mrs. Philpotts, when she came down the stairs equipped for the streets. Why, my dear, where are you going?
And pray, sir, why are you shutting up the shop at this time of the evening?
Oh, why, the fact is that I thought I'd just go to the Rose and Crown and mention that the vampire was so near at hand.
Well, and in that case there can be no harm in my calling upon some of my acquaintances and mentioning it likewise.
Why, I don't suppose there would be much harm. Only remember, Mrs. Philpotts, remember if you please.
Remember what?
To tell everyone to keep it a secret.
Oh, of course, dear, I will, and mind you, you do likewise.
Most decidedly.
Anybody want to take a bet on how well she does at keeping it a secret?
Well, she's going to tell people, and she's going to tell them to
Yeah,
keep it a
I'm
secret.
sure that they will definitely not tell
Absolutely.
anyone. Yeah, no one's going to find out. No one's going to know. Like that sound effect on here, no one's going to know.
The shop was closed,
Mr. Philpotts ran off to the Rose and Crown, and Mrs. Philpotts, with as much expedition as she could, proposed making the grand tour of all her female acquaintances in the town, just to tell them, as a great secret, that the vampire Sir Francis Varney, as he called himself, had taken refuge at the house that was to let down the lane leading to Higgs Farm. But by no means let it go no further, because it's a very wrong thing to make any disturbance, and you will understand that it is quite a secret.
I'm sure the secret will be kept perfectly.
She was listened to with breathless attention, as may well be supposed, and it was a singular circumstance that every house that she left, some other lady put on her bonnet and shawl, and ran out to make the circle of her acquaintances, with precisely the same story, and precisely the same injunction to secrecy. Thank you. And, as Mr. Philpotts pursued an extremely similar course, we are not surprised that in the short space of 1 hour, the news should have spread through all the town, and that there was scarcely a child old enough to understand what was being talked about who was ignorant of the fact that Sir Francis Varney was to be found at the empty house down the lane. It was an unlucky time, too, for the night was creeping on, a period at which people's apprehension of the supernatural becomes each moment stronger and more vivid, a period at which a number of idlers are let loose for different employments, and when anything in the shape of a row or a riot presents itself in pleasant colors to those who have nothing to lose, and who expect, under the cover of darkness, to be able to commit outrages that they would never commit in the daylight, or that they would be afraid to think of in the daytime, when recognition would be more easy. Thus was it that Sir Francis Varney's position, although he knew it not, became momentarily of extreme peril, and the danger that he was about to run was certainly greater than any that he had yet experienced. Had Charles Holland but known what was going on, he would undoubtedly have done something to preserve the supposed vampire from the mischief that threatened him. But the time had not arrived when he had promised to pay him a second visit, so he had no idea of anything serious having occurred. Perhaps, too, Mr. and Mrs. Philpotts scarcely anticipated creating so much confusion, but when they found that the whole place was in an uproar, and that a tumultuous assemblage of persons called aloud for vengeance upon Varney, they made their way home again in no small fright. And now, what was the result of all these proceedings will be best known by our introducing the reader to the interior of the house in which Varney had found a temporary refuge, and following in detail his proceedings as he waited for the arrival of Charles Holland. I'm going to take a break now on my
Break time. Thank you everyone for joining us. If you're wondering why I'm on my phone, I'm communicating through our TikTok audience through my wife's account. Thank you everyone for your comments, your taps, your likes, all of that. The next chapter, I actually get to do some reading. I can see my lines all highlighted. She goes through and reads all these stories in advance and highlights all the parts for the Varney to read so that we can do this for you. It is a lot of time we spend to just prepare to be able to read efficiently to you. So we do thank you for your gifts. We thank you for your support and your tapping. All of that helps us out a lot, and we very, very much appreciate it.
Did you see that? Someone's asking for help with their brake change.
I don't know that you want me helping with the brake changes. I haven't had a good track record on the last week. That was a rough day, but it's okay. That's like, you can mess up and you can learn from it. You can absolutely mess up and you can learn from it. Today, Peyton, the video I did about his house and the painters messing up, they're learning a lesson. And when you do new things or you do different things, there are lessons to learn along the way. And some of your payment is in lessons. And they don't feel good when you're learning lessons, but they make you better. They give you better skills. They give you experiences. And you grow from those things. So we should be thankful for the lessons we get, as much as we don't want to be at the time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. At 150 or 200,000 taps, I guess I will owe you a magic trick. So magic trick coming up shortly. Let's see. Or do I owe you one now? I've done 1, 2. We've done 3. We've done 3. So, yep. Not until we get to 200,000 taps do I owe you a magic trick.
Do we miss dial tone internet? No.
No. No, those were dark days.
Ah, you married your shadow.
Yes, you'll be able to find it on the tube later if you want to follow this and you can't stay with us today. During this period of time, you will find it there later. And I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. You paint and you listen. You look forward to what... Aw. I wonder what kinds of things you're painting, lovely.
I bet you paint wonderful things.
I bet so. I'm excited to be in a movie next year. I don't know that you'll be able to see it next year. It's going to be filmed next year. I don't know how long it takes to go from filming to actual release of a movie.
It could be a couple years to think about it. That, like
Yeah.
we were talking about Spaceballs movie being announced and
Right.
it coming around to be, 2 years till their planned release date.
Thank you so much, Sandy, and I appreciate the
you.
comments. Those help us out a lot. Have you ever been in a mosh pit before? If so, yes, nobody's commented in a bit on this one. Yes, I've definitely been in a mosh pit. Starting about 17.
Me too.
I dislocated a knee in a mosh pit and had a major injury when I was 17. But I've been in many mosh pits. I used to promote heavy metal and punk rock concerts and other things. I actually booked the bands and promote the events.
We ain't got no place to go, so let's go to the punk rock show. Darling, take me by the hand. We're gonna see a real punk band. Thank you.
Pardon me.
Ooh,
I burped.
he did.
This is fizzy water.
Yes, I may have to ban you from drinking fizzy water before or during story time because I have to smell your burps.
Oh.
I've been smelling them all night.
Yeah. I guess I could do regular water during.
Thank you.
Aw. An interesting side effect of our carnivore diet is we don't have farts. So we don't fart, really.
When he drinks these, he burps.
I will burp. Yeah. So because we don't have fiber, we don't end up with farts, which is it's the weirdest side effect. I know you'd never believe it in a million years, but when you go carnivore after a couple, 3 or 4 weeks, you won't have farts anymore.
But yeah. I've been meaning to say something about that actually.
Well, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
It's because we're not having fiber. We don't eat fiber, and fiber is what fuels the bacteria, and the bacteria off gas, which is what
I mean,
they come
it
from.
smells like steak, but still.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have vampire teeth all the time. They come out when I'm very hungry.
She has to eat beforehand. Her tongue is quite large, and she cannot speak clearly with her teeth. When her teeth are showing,
Yeah.
she pretty much has a one-track mind. She's ready to eat. So,
I get vicious when it gets to that point. Who's sitting across from us? Let's see. What is your name?
yeah, you don't have to say
It
anything.
doesn't say.
You don't say.
He didn't say.
Yep. It's our friend the mime.
All right. I'm going to read a bit more. You have some lines in this chapter. Not a lot, but you do have some.
That's better than 0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 200,000 taps. I owe you some magic. We may have to wait till I'm finished reading this chapter
Let's see
to
the
deliver.
time.
So
To get up this far so I can see the time.
Are we ready?
I think we are.
Okay, here we go.
So this is chapter LXXXVII.
It's a lot of chapters. What is it? 50, 60, 70, 85, 86, 87.
Right? Chapter 87.
Yes. Interesting.
On the treetops, the moon shines brightly, and the long shadows are shooting its rays down upon the waters, and the green fields appear clothed in a flood of silver light. The little town was quiet and tranquil. Nature seemed at rest. The old mansion in which Sir Francis Varney had taken refuge stood empty and solitary. It seemed as though it were not associated with the others by which it was surrounded. It was gloomy, and in the moonlight it reminded one of things long gone, by existences that had once been, but now no longer of this present time, a mere memento of the past. Sir Francis Varney reclined upon the housetops, and he gazed upon the sky and upon the earth, and he saw the calm tranquillity that reigned around, and could not but admire what he saw. He sighed. He seemed to sigh from a pleasure that he felt in the fact of his security. He could repose there without fear, and breathe the balmy air that fanned his cheek.
Certainly.
He muttered.
Things might have been worse, but not much worse. However, they might have been much better. The ignorant are always the most to be feared, because they have no guide and no control save what can be exerted over them by their fears and their passions.
Prelude,
Mm.
He paused to look again over the scene, and as far as the eye could reach, and that, moonlit as it was many miles. The country was diversified with hill and dale, meadow and plowed land, the open fields and the darker woods, and the silvery stream that ran at no great distance, all presented a scene that was well calculated to warm the imagination, and to give the mind that charm which a cultivated understanding is capable of receiving. There was but one thing wanted to make such a scene one of pure happiness, and that was all absence of care, of fears for the future, and the wants of life. Suddenly, there was a slight sound that came from the town. It was very slight, but the ears of Sir Francis Varney were painfully acute of late, and the least sound that came across him was heard in a moment, and his whole visage was changed to one of listening interest.
Oh, darling, we've been rebuked here in the chat, so I guess we have to stop. Someone rebuked us.
We've been rebuked again?
Again, yes. Can you believe it? I guess we can't move forward now.
Hello.
Or we could just try and see what happens.
The sound was hushed, but his attention was not lulled, for he had been placed in circumstance that made all his vigilance necessary for his own preservation. Hence it was, what another would have passed over, or not heard at all, he both heard and noticed. He was not sure of the nature of the sound. It was so slight and so indistinct. Ah, there it was again. Some persons were moving about in the town. The sounds that came upon the night air seemed to say that there was unusual bustle in the town, which was, to Sir Francis Varney, ominous in the extreme. What could people in such a quiet, retired place require out at such an hour at night? It must be something very unusual, something that must excite them to great degrees, and Sir Francis began to feel very uneasy.
They surely
he muttered to himself.
They surely cannot have found out my hiding place and intend to hunt me from it. The bloodthirsty hounds, they are never satisfied. The mischief they are permitted to do on one occasion is but the precursor to another. The taste has caused the appetite for more, and nothing short of blood will satisfy it.
The sound increased, and the noise came nearer and nearer, and it appeared as though a number of men had collected together and were coming towards him. Oh yes, they were coming down the lane towards the deserted mansion where he was. For once in his life, Sir Francis Varney trembled. He felt sick at heart, though no man was less likely to give up hope and to despair than he. Yet this sign of unrelenting hatred and persecution was too unequivocal and too stern not to produce its effect upon even his mind, for he had no doubt but that they were coming with the express purpose of seeking him. How they could have found him out was a matter that he could not imagine. The Bannerworths could not have betrayed him, he was sure of that. And yet, who could have seen him, so cautious and so careful as he had been, and so very sparing had he lived, because he would not give the slightest cause for all that was about to follow? He hoped to have hidden himself, but now he could hear the tramp of men distinctly, and their voices came now on the night air, though it was in a subdued tone, as if they were desirous of approaching unheard of and unseen by their victim. Sir Francis Varney stirred not from his position. He remained silent and motionless. He appeared not to heed what was going on. Perhaps he hoped to see them go by, to be upon some false scent, or, if they saw no sign of life, that they might leave the place and go elsewhere. Hark! They stopped at the house. They go not by, and they seemed to pause. And then a thundering knock came at the door, which echoed and re-echoed through the empty and deserted house, on the top of which sat, in silent expectation, the almost motionless Sir Francis Varney, the redoubted vampire. The knock which came so loud and so hard upon the door caused Sir Francis to start visibly, for it seemed his own knell. Then, as if the mob were satisfied with their knowledge of his presence and of their victory, they sent up a loud shout that filled the whole neighborhood with its sound. It seemed to come from below and around the house. It rose from all sides, and that told Sir Francis Varney that the house was surrounded and all escape was cut off, that there was no chance of his being able to rush through such a multitude of men as that which now encircled him. With the calmest despair, Sir Francis Varney lay still and motionless on the housetop, and listened to the sounds that proceeded from below. Shout after shout arose on the still, calm air of the night. Knock after knock came upon the stout old door, which awakened responsive echoes throughout the house that had for many years lain dormant, and which now seemed disturbed, and resounded in hollow murmurs to the voices from without. Then a loud voice shouted from below, as if to be heard by anyone who might be within.
Sir Francis Varney the vampire, come out and give yourself up at discretion. If we have to search for you, you may depend it will be to punish you, and you will suffer by burning. Come out and give yourself up.
There was a pause, and then a loud shout. Sir Francis Varney paid no attention to this summons, but sat motionless on the housetop, where he could hear all that passed below in the crowd.
He will not come out,
Said one.
Ah, he's much too cunning to be caught in such a trap. Why, he knows what you would do with him, and he knows that you would stake him and make a bonfire about him.
So he has no taste for a roasting, remarked another. But still, it's no use hiding. We have too many hands and know the house too well to be easily baffled.
That may be, and although he don't like burning yet, we'll unearth the old fox somehow or other. We have discovered his haunt at last, and certainly we'll have him out. How shall we get in? Knock in the door! Break in the door! The front door! That's the best, because it leads to all parts of the house, and we can secure anyone who attempts to move from one to the other as they come down.
Hurrah! Shouted several men in the crowd. Hurrah! Echoed the mob with one accord, and the shout rent the air and disturbed the quiet and serenity that scarce 5 minutes before reigned throughout the place. Then, as if accentuated by one spirit, they all set to work to force the door in. It was strong and capable of great defense, and employed them with some labor for 15 or 20 minutes, and then, with a loud crash, the door fell in. Hurrah! Again shouted the crowd. These shouts announced the fall of the door, and then, and not until then, did Sir Francis Varney stir. Do we like satin? I'm not a big fan of satin fabric. It's a little bit too, hot. I prefer silk.
Good answer, dear.
Mm.
Very good. They have broken the door. Well, if I unalive, I must. I will sell my life dearly, however. All is not yet lost, and in the struggle for life, the loss is not so much felt.
He got up and crept towards the trap that led into the house, or out of it, as the occasion might require. "The vampire! The vampire!" shouted a man who stood on the garden wall, holding on by the arm of an apple tree.
Varney the vampire! Shouted a second. Hurrah, boys! We're on the right scent. Now for a hunt. Hurrah! We shall have him now!
They rushed in a tumultuous riot up the stone steps and into the hall. It was a large, spacious place, with a grand staircase that led up to the upper floor. It had 2 ends, and then terminated in a gallery. It could not be defended by one man, save at the top, where it could not long be held, because the assailants could unite and throw their whole weight against the entrance, and thus storm it. And this actually happened. Yes?
Oh, nothing. I just wanted to touch your beautiful hand.
Oh,
Feel your skin. It's so lovely.
I thought you were trying to get my attention.
No, not at all, dear. Continue, please.
They looked up, seeing nobody. They rushed up, some by one stair and some by the other. But it was dark, and there were but few of the moon's rays that pierced the gloom of that place. And those who first reached the place where we have named were seized with astonishment, staggered, and then fell. Sir Francis Varney had met them. He stood there with a staff, something that he had found about the house, not quite so long as a broom handle, but somewhat thicker and heavier, being made of stout ash. Pardon me.
Bless you.
This formidable weapon Sir Francis Varney wielded with strength and resolution. He was a tall man, and one of no mean activity and personal strength, and such a weapon in his hands was one of a most fearful character, and for the occasion much better than his sword. Man after man fell beneath the fearful force of these blows, for though they could not see Sir Francis, yet he could see them, for the hall lights were behind them, and, at the time, while he stood in the dark, and took advantage of this to deal terrible blows upon his assailants. This continued for some minutes, till they gave way before such a vigorous defiance and paused.
On, neighbors!
Cried one.
Will you be beaten off by one man? Rush in at once. You must force him from his position. Push him hard, and he must give way.
"Aye," said one fellow who sat upon the ground rubbing his head. "It's all very well to say push him hard, but if you felt the weight of that darn pole on your head, you wouldn't be in such a blessed hurry." However true that might be, there was but little attention paid to it, and a determined rush was made at the entrance to the gallery, and they found that it was unoccupied, and that was explained by the slamming of a door, and its being immediately locked upon them. And when the mob came to the door, they found that they had to break their way through another door. This did not take long in effectuating, and in less than 5 minutes they had broken through the door which led into another room. But the first man who entered it fell from a crashing blow on the head from the ashen staff of Sir Francis Varney, who hurried and then fled closely pursued, until he came to another door, through which he dashed. Here he endeavored to make a stand and close it, but was immediately struck and grappled with. But he threw his assailant and turned and fled again. His object had been to defend each inch of ground as long as he was able, but he found that they came too close upon his steps, and prevented his turning in time to try the strength of his staff upon the foremost. He dashed at the first staircase with surprising rapidity, leaving his pursuers behind, and when he had gained the first landing, he turned upon those who pursued him, who could hardly follow him two abreast.
Down with the vampire!
Shouted the first, who rushed upon heedless of the staff.
Down with the fool!
Thundered Varney as he struck the fellow a terrific blow, which covered his face with blood, and he fell back into the arms of his companions. A bitter groan and excretion arose from them below, and again they shouted and rushed up headlong.
Down with the vampire!
Was again shouted and met by a corresponding but deep guttural sound of,
Down with the fool!
and sure enough the first again came to the earth without any preparation save the application of an ashen stick to his skull, which by no means aided the operation of thinking. Several more shared a similar fate, but they pressed hard, and Sir Francis was compelled to give ground to keep them at the necessary length from him, as they rushed on regardless of his blows, and, if he had not, he would not soon have been engaged in a personal struggle, for they were getting too close for him to use the staff.
Down with the vampire!
Was the renewed cry, as they drove him from spot to spot, until he reached the roof of the house, and then he ran up the steps to the loft, which he had just reached when they came from the bottom. Varney attempted to draw the ladder up, but 4 or 5 stout men held it down. Then, by a sudden turn, as they were getting up, he turned it over and threw those on it down, and the ladder too upon the heads of those who were below.
Down with the vampire!
Shouted the mob, as they with the most untiring energy set the ladder or steps against the loft, and as many as could held it, while others rushed up to attack Varney with all the ferocity and courage of so many bulldogs. It was strange, but the more they were baffled and the more enraged and determined they rushed on to a new attack, with greater resolution than ever. On this occasion, however, they were met with a new kind of missile, for Sir Francis had either collected and placed there for the occasion, or they had been left there for years, a number of old bricks which lay close at hand. These he took one by one, and deliberately took aim at them, and flung them with great force, striking down every one that they hit. This caused them to recoil. The bricks caused fearful gashes in their heads, and the wounds were serious, the flesh being in many places torn completely off. They, however, only paused, for one man said,
Be of good heart, comrades. We can do as he does. He has furnished us with weapons, and we can thus attack him in 2 ways, and he must give way in the end.
Hurrah! Down with the vampire! Sounded from all sides, and the shout was answered by a corresponding rush. It was true. Sir Francis had furnished them with weapons to attack himself, for they could throw them back at him, which they did, and struck him a severe blow on the head, and it covered his face with blood in a moment. Hurrah! Shouted the assailants. Another such blow, and all will be over with the vampire. He's got...
Press him sharp now,
cried another man, as he aimed another blow with a brick, which struck Varney on the arm, causing him to drop the brick that he held in his hand. He staggered back, apparently in great pain.
Up, Up! We have him now! He cannot get away! He's hurt! We have him! We have him!
And up they went with all the rapidity they could scramble up the steps. But this had given Varney time to recover himself, and though his right arm was almost useless, he contrived with his left to pitch the bricks so as to knock over the first 3 or 4. When seeing that he could not maintain his position to advantage, he rushed to the opposite of the house, the last place that he had capable of defense. There was a great shout by those outside when they saw him come out and stand with his staff, and those who came first got first served, for the blows resounded while he struck them and sent them over below. Then came a great shout from within and without, and then a desperate rush was made at the door, and in the next instant Varney was seen flying, followed by his pursuers, one after the other, some tumbling over the tiles, to the imminent hazard of their necks. Sir Francis Varney rushed along with a speed that appeared by far too great to admit of being safely followed, and yet those who followed appeared infected by his example, and appeared heedless of all consequences by which their pursuit might be attended to themselves. "Hurrah!" shouted the mob below. "Hurrah!" shouted the mob on the tiles. Then, over several housetops might be seen the flying figure of Sir Francis Varney, pursued by different men at a pace almost equal to his own. They, however, could not keep up the same speed and not improve upon it, while he kept the advantage he first obtained in the start. And then, suddenly he disappeared. It appears it's time for magic.
We're going to owe 2 tricks if they keep tapping.
Oh
They're
my,
at 238k. But I didn't want to interrupt your story.
I see.
We have an angry mob attacking Varney and he's trying to get away. What's going to happen? Like, this is the 3rd time he's been chased by an angry mob in this story so far.
It is definitely an
But
angry
this time
mob.
they've actually been able to catch him a little bit.
Yes, they're hurting him too.
Yes.
There are many, many pages left. I could take a break.
You want to take a break for a minute?
I'll take a break.
All right, we'll perform some magic. Boys and girls, welcome in if you're just
You
joining
remember
us.
that one?
We are reading Varney the Vampire. This is a classic vampire story from the 1840s. And when you tap, 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 every 50,000, I will perform some magic for you. Or maybe I should say, we will perform some magic for you.
Isn't pink a lovely color?
Her reading voice is delightful. I've had her read to me for years and years and years. And I enjoy it so very much. All right, let's see. I think, let's do cards. Cards are always fun. So what I have here is a deck of cards. Very simple. So what I'm going to do is really more a demonstration of skill than a magic trick. I'm going to take a card that somebody here picks. I'm going to flip it around backwards and put it back in the deck and close it up, which isn't that interesting, except that I'm going to do it using only my tongue. Somebody please name a card. Oh. Oh, well.
Hearts. I wasn't looking a little bit
Oh.
ago. 5 of clubs. There's
Oh.
one.
Oh.
You gonna get it up there?
Oh.
He's gonna pin it. The 5 of clubs.
Oh. Oh.
He's trying to pin it.
Oh.
All right,
Oh.
5 of clubs. 5 of clubs. Are you just doing one?
Oh.
5 of clubs. He's doing the 5 of clubs. He's doing the 5 of clubs.
All right. Oh, 5 of clubs. Let's see if you can find it. Take a look in there. See if you spot it.
Take a look. It's in the book. The Reading Rainbow. Reading Rainbow.
See this one right here? Would it be cool if this was the 5 of clubs? Because I think that would be worth it. Galaxy.
Maybe.
Oh, some people are beating me to the punchline. Most guys can't even find the bean, right, ladies? Anyway, that's the punchline. I love you guys so much.
He does do it every time, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's a consistent punchline. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. We're going to perform some more magic for you here. Some of you are enjoying and appreciating the magic before you. Some of you haven't even realized it's happening. So planned, I knew the guy who said 5 of clubs. Like literally we waited forever
We
for
had
somebody.
so many that just said like
Hearts. We had one person that said ace or said, what was it, 5 of ace. And it's like ace isn't a suit. You know, there were several things that weren't even cards that were said. The first one on our list was the 5 of clubs. That's all we listed. We'll do another card after a while if you guys get enough taps.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed my fan.
I'm her biggest fan.
Thank you. Glad you noticed.
250K. I guess we need to perform some more magic, don't we?
I suppose we shall.
Yeah, well, here.
Bum, bop, bop, pop, pop. I'll
Ow!
pop you in the head.
You can't just hit me in the head with a fan.
Can I not?
I guess you can. You did, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, everybody pay attention. This trick, I'm going to break several rules of magic. I want you to pay attention to these little pom-poms.
Pop, pop.
Pay attention to the string. See the little hole that goes through here? I want you to figure out how it works. Most of the time, magicians don't want that to happen. But I want you to understand how this works. So the red and the purple are connected. See how the string goes through? And the purple and the red are connected. Now the yellow and the purple are connected. See, yellow and purple, they're connected, right? So you can see the string that goes right through, the string that comes out. So I want you to try to imagine how that's done, okay? Red and purple, yellow and purple. Very good. Now the red one and the green one are also connected. So see how that works? Red and green, okay? Purple and red. Now yellow and purple, but we're going to cover some more. So the yellow one is connected to the red one here. See? Yellow and red. And the green one is still connected to the red, and the green one is connected to the purple, just like this. So green and purple, green and red, purple and red, yellow and purple, right? Everybody's understanding this. Yellow and red, green and red. Now, some of you may have figured this out, but I'm going to get up close here so everybody can see how it works. And we're just going to pull it apart so you all can see that it's not connected at all. Thank you, dear. That feels lovely. You're confused? Ah, well, I tried to explain it the best that I possibly could, so. All right, boys and girls, we're going to go back to reading our story. I think that was
I
a
got
good
to
little
rest
break.
my voice for a bit.
Was that sufficient for you, dear?
It'll help me to keep going.
All right.
Then, over several housetops, might be seen the flying figure of Sir Francis Varney, pursued by different men at a pace almost equal to his own. I have to get back in the rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Angry mob attacking the vampire.
They, however, could keep up the same speed and not improve upon it, while he kept the advantage he first obtained at the start. And then, suddenly, he disappeared. It seemed to the spectators below that he had dropped through a house, and they immediately surrounded the house as well as they could, and then set up another shout. This took place several times, and as often was the miserable man hunted from his place of refuge, only to seek another, from which he was, in like that manner, hunted by those who thirsted for his blood. On one occasion, they drove him into a house which was surrounded, save at one point, which had a long room, or building in it, that ran some distance out,
about 20 feet high. At the entrance to the roof on this place, or leads, he stood and defended himself for some moments with success, but, having received a blow himself, he was compelled to retire, while the mob behind forced those in front forward faster than he could by any exertion wield the staff that had so much befriended him on this occasion. He was therefore on the point of being overwhelmed by numbers when he fled. But alas, there was no escape but a bare coping stone and rails that ran round the top of that. There was not much time for hesitation, but he jumped over the rails and looked below. It was a great height, but if he fell and hurt himself, he knew he was at the mercy of the bloodhounds behind him, who would do anything but show him any mercy or spare him a single pang. He looked well around and beheld his pursuers close upon him, and one was so close to him that he seized upon his arm, saying as he shouted to his companions, "Hurrah, boys, I've got him!" With an execration?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a word we don't use anymore.
With an execration, Sir Francis wielded his staff with such force that he struck the fellow in the head, crushing his hat, as if it had been only so much paper. The man fell, but a blow followed from someone else which caused Varney to relax his hold, and finding himself falling, he, to save himself, sprang away. The rails at that moment were crowded with men who leaned over to ascertain the effect of the leap. "He'll be unalived," said one. "He's sure to be smashed," said another. "I'll lay any wager that he'll break a limb," said a third. And Varney came to the earth for a moment. He lay stunned, not able to move hand or foot. "Hurrah!" shouted the mob. Their triumph was short, for just as they shouted, Varney arose, and after a moment or two's stagger, he set off at full speed, which produced another shout from the mob, and just at that moment, a body of his pursuers were seen scaling the walls after him. There was now a hunt through all the adjoining fields from cover after cover. They pursued him until he found no rest from the hungry wolves that beset him, with cries resembling beasts of prey rather than any human multitude. Sir Francis heard them at the same time with the despair of a man who is struggling for life, and yet knows that he is struggling in vain. He knew that his strength was decaying. His immense exertions and the blows that he had received all weakened him, while the number and strength of his foes seemed to diminish. Once more he sought the houses, and for a moment he believed himself safe, but that was only a momentary deception, for they had traced him. He arrived at a garden wall, over which he bounded, and then he rushed into the house, a door of which stood open, for the noise and disturbance had awakened most of the inhabitants, who were out in all directions. He took refuge in a small closet on the stair, but was seen to do so by a girl, who screamed out with fear and fright. "Oh no! Oh no! It's the vampire! It's the vampire! The vampire!" With all her strength, in a way of screaming that was no little, and then she went off into a fit. This was signal enough, and the house was at once entered and beset on all sides by the mob, who came, impatient of obtaining their victim who had so often baffled them. "There he is! There he is!" said the girl. "Oh, there he is! There he is!" "Sorry about that," said the girl, who came to as soon as other people came up. "Where? "In that closet," she said, pointing to it with her finger. "I'd seen him go in, way above." Sir Francis, finding himself betrayed, immediately came out of the closet, just as 2 or 3 were advancing to open it, and dealt so hard a blow on the head of the first that came near him that he fell without a groan, and a second shared the same fate. And then Sir Francis found himself grappled with, but with a violent effort he relieved himself and rushed up the stairs. "Oh, the vampire!
The vampire! Oh, what shall I do? Fire! Fire! These exclamations were uttered in consequence of Varney in his haste to get up the stairs, having inadvertently stepped into the girl's lap with one foot, while he kicked her in the chin with the other, besides scratching her nose till it bled. "After him! Stick to him!" shouted the mob, but the girl kicked and sprawled so much that they were impeded, till, regardless of her cries, they ran over her and pursued Varney, who was much distressed with the exertions that he had made. Oh, the poor girl.
Yes, the mob ran right over her.
After about a minute's race, he turned upon the heads of the stairs, not so much taking some breathing time, but seeing his enemy so close, he drew his sword and stood panting, but prepared. I know I saw the picture. They didn't put the picture on the same page, and I didn't want to pass it up.
Okay.
Never mind his toasting fork,
said one bulky fellow, and as he spoke, he rushed on, but the point of the weapon entered his heart, and he fell unalived. I've got a picture. I'll give you the picture too.
He put so much effort into trying not to have to unalive anyone, and now they've forced his hand at it, haven't they? He's been quite the gentleman through this whole process.
There was a dreadful execration uttered by those who came up after him, and there was momentary pause, for none liked to rush onto the bloody sword of Sir Francis Varney, who stood so willing and so capable of using it with the most terrible effect. They paused, as well they might, and this pause was the most welcoming thing next to life to the unfortunate fugitive, for he was dreadfully distressed and bleeding.
On to him, boys! He can hardly stand. See how he pants. On to him, I say. Push him hard.
He pushes hard, I tell you, said another. I felt the point of his sword as it came through Gillis's back.
I'll try my luck,
said another, and he rushed up, but he was met by the sword of Sir Francis, who pierced it through his side, and he fell back with a groan. Sir Francis, fearful of stopping any longer to defend that point, appeared desirous of making good his retreat with some little advantage, and he rushed up the stairs before they had recovered from the momentary consternation into which they had been thrown by the sudden disaster that they had received. But they were quickly after him, and before he, wearied as he was, could gain the roof, they were up the ladder after him. The first man who came through the trap was again set upon by Varney, who made a desperate thrust at him, and it took effect, but the sword snapped by the handle. With an execration, Sir Francis threw the hilt at the head of the next man who he saw. Then, rushing with headlong speed, he distanced his pursuers from the housetops. But the row of houses ended at the one that he was at, and he could go no further. Oh, what was to be done? The height was by far too great to be jumped. Being unalived was certain. A hideous leap of crushed and mangled bones would be the extent of what would remain of him, and then, perhaps, life not extinct for some hours afterwards. He turned round. He saw them coming hallooing over the housetops like a pack of hounds. Sir Francis struck his hands together and groaned. He looked round and perceived some ivy peeping over the coping stones, and a thought struck him, and he instantly ran to the spot and leaned over.
Saved! Saved!
He exclaimed. Then, placing his hand over, he felt for the ivy, and then he got over and hung by the coping stone, in a perilous position, till he found a spot on which he could rest his foot, and then he grasped the ivy as low down as he could, and thus he lowered himself a short way, till he came to where the ivy was stronger and more secure to the wall,
as the upper part was very dangerous with his weight attached to it. The mob came on, very sure of having Sir Francis Varney in their power, and they did not hurry on so violently as their position was dangerous at that hour of the night.
Easy, boys, easy,
Was the cry.
the bird is our own. He can't get away, that's very certain.
They, however, came on, and took no time about it hardly. But what was their amazement and rage at finding he had disappeared?
Where is he?
Was the universal inquiry,
And I don't know.
an almost universal.
You read Vampire Story. Not to you. I really hope you are as much as we're enjoying reading it. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. There was a long pause while they searched around, but they saw no vestige of the object of their search.
There's no trapdoor, remarked one, and I don't think he could have got in anyone.
Perhaps, finding he could not get away, he has taken a desperate expedient of jumping over and committing unaliving himself, and so escaped the doom he ought to be subject to.
Probably he has, but then we can run and stake through him and burn him all the same.
They now approached the extreme verge of the houses, and looked over the sides, but they could see nothing. The moon was up, and there was light enough to have seen him if he had fallen to the earth, and they were quite sure that he could not have got up after such a fall as he must have received.
We are beaten after all, neighbors. I'm not so sure of that, was the reply. He may not now be hidden about, for he was too far spent to be able to go far. He could not do that, I'm sure. I think not either. Well, might he not have escaped by means of that ivy yonder?
Said one of the men, pointing to the plant as it climbed over the coping stones of the wall.
Yes, it may be possible,
Said one.
and yet very dangerous, if not certain destruction to get over.
Oh, yes, there's no possibility of escape that way. Why, it wouldn't bear a cat, for there are no nails driven into the wall at this height. Never mind, said another. We may as well leave no stone unturned, as our saying is, but at once set about looking out for him. The individual who spoke now leaned over the coping stone for some moments in silence. He could see nothing, but yet he continued to gaze for some moments.
Do you see him?
Inquired one. No, was the answer.
I thought as much,
Was the reply.
He might as well have got a hold of a corner of the moon, which I believe is more likely, a great deal more likely.
Hold still a moment, said the man, who was looking over the edge of the house.
What's the matter now? A gnat flew into your eye?
No, but I see him, by Jove. I see him.
See who? See who?
Varney the vampire, shouted the man. I see him about halfway down, clinging like a fly to a wall. Odd zounds, I never saw a like before.
Hurrah! After him, boys!
Pardon me.
Not the same way, if you please. Go yourself and welcome, but I won't go that way,
Just as you please.
Said the man.
But what's good for the goose is good for the gander, is an old saying, and so is Jack as good as his master.
So it may be, but cuss me if you ain't a fool if you attempt that.
The man made no reply, but he did as Varney had done before, got over the coping stone and then laid hold of the ivy. But whether his weight was heavier than Varney's, or whether it was that the latter had loosed the hold of the ivy or not, but he had no sooner left go of the coping stone than the ivy gave way, and he was precipitated from the height of about 50 feet to the earth.
Ooh.
Oh, what a dreadful fall.
There was a pause, and no one spoke. The man lay motionless and unalived. He had dislocated his neck. The fall had not, however, been without its effect upon Varney, for the man's heel struck him so forcibly on his head as he fell, that he was stunned and let go of his hold, and he too fell to the earth.
but not in quite so many feet. Oh, wonderful. Hello, cousin. He soon recovered himself and was staggering away, when he was assailed by those above with groans and curses of all kinds, and then by stones and tiles, and whatever the mob could lay their hands upon. Some of these struck him, and he was cut about in various places so that he could hardly stand. The hoots and the shouts of the mob above had now attracted those below to the spot where Sir Francis Varney was trying to escape, but he had not gone far before the loud yells of those behind him told him that he was again pursued. Half unalive and almost wholly spent, unarmed and defenseless, he scarce knew what to do, whether to fly or to turn round and unalive as a refuge from the greater evil of the endeavoring to prolong a struggle which seemed hopeless. Instinct, however, urged him on at all risks, and though he could not go very far or fast, yet on he went with the crowd after him. "Down with the vampire! Seize him! Hold him! Burn him! He must be put down presently! He can't stand!" This gave them new hopes, and rendered Varney's fate almost certain. They renewed their exertions to overtake him, while he exerted himself anew, and with surprising agility, considering how he had been employed for more than 2 hours. There were some trees and hedges now that opposed the progress of both parties. The height of Sir Francis Varney gave him a great advantage, and had he been fresh, he might have shown it to advantage in vaulting over the hedge and ditches, which he jumped when obliged, and walked through when he could. Every now and then, the party in pursuit, who had been behind him some distance, they gained on him. However, they kept every now and then losing sight of him among the trees and shrubs, and he made direct for a small wood, hoping that there he should be able to conceal himself for some time, so as to throw his pursuers off the track. They were well aware of this, for they increased their speed, and 1 or 2 swifter of foot than the others got ahead of them and cried aloud as they ran, "Keep up! Keep up! He's making for the wood!" "He can't stop there long. There are too many of us to beat that cover without finding our game. Push, lads, push! He's ours now, as sure as we know he's on ahead." And they did push on, and came in full sight as they saw Sir Francis enter the wood with what speed that he could make. But he was almost spent. This was a cheering sight to them, and they were pretty certain that he would not leave the wood in a state that he was in then, that he must seek concealment. However, they were mistaken, for Sir Francis Varney, as soon as he got into the wood, plunged into the thickest of it, and then paused to gain breath.
So far, safe.
He muttered.
But I have had a narrow escape. They are not yet done. Though, and it will be safe here long. I must away and seek shelter and safety elsewhere, if I can. Curses on the hounds. They run yelping from the fields.
He heard the shouts of his pursuers, and prepared to quit the wood when he thought the first had entered it.
They will remain there some time, and beating about.
He muttered.
The only chance I have had since the pursuit. Curse them, I say again. I may now get free. The delay must save my life, but nothing else will.
He moved away, and at a slow and lazy pace left the wood, and then made his way across some fields towards some cottages that lay on the left. The moon yet shone on the fields, and he could hear the shouts of the mob as various parties went through the wood from one covert to another, and yet unable to find him. Then came a great shout upon his ears, as though they had found out he had left the wood, and this caused him to redouble his speed, and fearful lest he should be seen in the moonlight, he leapt over the first fence that he came to, with almost the last effort that he could make, and then staggered into an open door, through a passage, and into the front parlor, and there fell faint and utterly spent and speechless, right at the feet of Flora Bannerworth.
Dun dun dun. Oh, that's where we're gonna stop till next week.
Indeed.
Boys and girls.
Oh, well, and it's quite late anyway.
This is where we started with him with
Oh.
Flora Bannerworth, and here he is, chased all the way to her side again. I wonder what will happen next week.
That was a long chapter. That took
That
us 40
was.
minutes to
That was a
read.
very long chapter. I hope you've enjoyed our vampire story night.
And I do apologize that we went much past 8:30.
Yes, a little later than normal, but we did want to finish that chapter for you, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't get to see the entire thing, you'll be able to find a replay of this on my Tube channel, on the U that ends in Tube, so you can follow me there by looking for Shane is Great, S-H-A-Y-N-E. This will be posted there, and you can catch the parts of the story you may have missed, but it's been very delightful. We love you all so much. Thank you. Come again.
Goodbye, darlings.
Yes,
Good
that's
night.
exactly what I mean. I just can't say that word out loud.
What? How do we get story